Hello everyone, this is Mr. Marr with Beat Theory, and this is my tutorial on how to make a reference track in Soundtrap for beginners. So we're gonna just jump right in. I've been thinking about making this for a while, but I wasn't sure of how things are gonna work with copyright. I am gonna pick an example that's from popular music, so hopefully we'll be able to get through with that. So first thing you're going to need to do is get a copy of your reference track in an MP3 or WAV format. You can see right here I've got a little file folder. These are a couple different tracks that I downloaded. Since this is an educational channel, I picked the clean version, but you are going to need an actual MP3 recording of your song to import in. So if you have the track up on YouTube or somewhere, it's not going to work unless you have that file. And sometimes ripping off the internet, it degrades the sound quality, so it's not always the best choice. So you've got your track, your file that you need. The next step is going to be to figure out the BPM, so we can figure out what to set our DAW to. So I am a big fan of this website here, all8.com/tools/BPM. This was, it seems like it was just made by a guy, The other things have to do with square dancing, which I'm not really familiar with, but really cool that he made this website. Seems to work pretty well for finding tempo. So I'm gonna play my track here. And then I'm gonna use the tempo tapper to figure out the BPM. Sometimes it can be helpful to jump ahead to, where the drums come in. Typically, songs don't change tempo drastically throughout. Sometimes there's little shifts depending on what style and, if they're using more computer-based or live instruments. So I'm going to just start in the middle here.
Go in with no pen and pad. I got this right on my sleeve. Right now my candle burning wax. I'm feeling like it's burning me. I'm just a lonely child who wants someone to help him out. I take this pain away because my head been running wild. I fell in love with Kaylin without even knowing this bitch a snake. I'm missing.
So you open up this tempo tapper website, you play your song, and you just find that steady pulse. Every song has a steady pulse that it's set to. It's the BPM. So after about 40 taps, I was pretty confident that this is probably at 150. Once you start to see it even out, see if you can get it to kind of stay on the same number. That's one way to help make sure you're getting it exactly right. If it seems to be shifting a lot, you might want to start over, try again. The more consistent you are, the more accurate you're going to get your BPM. And it's pretty important because if you don't have this set right, it's going to make the whole rest of this process very difficult. So I'm going to set my BPM to 150 in Soundtrap. And then I'm going to import this file. I'm going to do that just by dragging it onto the add new track. And here we go. So the next step is going to be to make sure that it can that it's actually aligned to the beat. All right. So we can do that by turning on the metronome and pressing play. Sometimes it's kind of hard to hear the metronome depending on your settings. So I'm going to turn this to the clave sound and turn up the volume up on it a little bit.
The way I came in the game, the image that I had put.
So already it sounds like it's right in one with the beat. So it's one of the reasons why I picked this. I wanted to pick something that was probably made on a computer. Those tend to be a lot more strict with the BPM.
Without even knowing this snake. I'm missing.
Yeah, so even moving ahead to a middle part of the song, it's still lining up. One thing you might need to do to just get a little bit more accurate is to check the very beginning. So you can actually see in this sound wave here, there's just a little bit of silence. And sometimes the metronome sounds just maybe a little bit off. So what I'm going to do is set the grid size to automatic, so I can kind of go as small as I need to here. I'm going to click the beginning of this and line it up so it starts right exactly when the sound wave starts for my track, just to make this a little bit more accurate, and then line it up to the beginning here. So let's try that one more time. Let's see how that sounds as far as lined up to the beat.
I just wanna be loved.
Cool. So far, it sounded pretty good.
Without even knowing this.
Yep. And farther in the track, it also still works. By the way, this is "Lonely Child" by NBA Youngboy. So that's the track I picked. All right, so we've got that down. That was step one, which is just finding the BPM of your track, importing it into Soundtrap, and making sure that it's aligned to the beat. It's really important that you take your time on this step and get it correct, that you adjust the beginning if you need to, that you readjust the tempo if you're finding it's a little bit off. Part of this process is going to be a little bit of trial and error, because if you don't have this exactly right, it's not going to line up. So you're going to have to make some adjustments. If you do, make sure that when you do change the tempo, don't adjust the audio. We do not want to adjust the audio of the track that we just imported, because that's literally going to change it, and you don't want to do that. So make sure you keep it, exactly the correct BPM. And so the next step is going to be to pull up the lyrics and map out the song form. So this is a little frustrating because you can't do this at school. It's blocked by the Wi-Fi, which I get why and everything, but for our purposes, it does make things a little difficult. Since I'm at home, I can just do this, and we've got that. So when you first look up the lyrics, Google's going to give you like a preview of the lyrics from whichever site it's pulling from. Looks like this is coming from musicmatch.com. This isn't terribly helpful because it doesn't show me what section of the song is where, and that just makes this process go a lot faster. So I would suggest looking it up on genius.com. They're a really good resource for lyrics and also production credits and stuff like that. It's just a lot of good information for anyone looking into music production. So we can see here that the sections all have headings. So I can see right here, this is the intro. And then if I scroll down a little farther, we got the verse 1, and then you've got chorus. So I do want to point out that it might not always tell you that there's an intro. There is always an intro to a song. Sometimes it's very short, but there's always some part of the song where, either the vocals haven't come in yet or, the beat hasn't dropped or something like that. So to start mapping out our song, now that we have our song lyrics and we know what the different song sections are, we're going to click add a new track, and we're going to make this a synthesizer track. No reason for that really. It actually doesn't matter what sound it is. I just picked something just to pick something because we're going to use this blank. To kind of further reinforce this, you could also just mute the track just to remind yourself this isn't something you're going to listen to. The regions, which are the blocks that Soundtrap uses for piano roll sections and stuff like that. MIDI information or audio information also looks like very similar. Call them regions. The way you do that is you click Edit, Create Region. You do that. Now you've got a region to work with. You're going to need to zoom in so you can stretch it. If you're too far out, it's not going to show you all of the options for changing the length of this. So I'm just going to stretch this out a little bit. And now I can take a look back at my lyrics and see where does this intro stop. So it looks like he says, that's how we live in, that's how we going out. You hear me, open your mouth. And that is the end of the intro. So I'm going to listen to this song, see if I can find that section, set that for my intro.
I just want to be loved. D-Mac on the track. Don't nobody understand me though.
So, still intro.
The way I came in the game.
I'm going to make a guess, it's probably right about here. I'm seeing the waveform change. Maybe some drums are coming in there. Nope, still intro.
I'm still in the streets and I'm still digging into them. how we living. That's how we
longer.
Open your mouth.
There you go.
I say, Mama, I'm so sorry.
So this is kind of a long intro. This is a 24 bar intro here. That's going to be very different for every song. I know Pharrell is famous for his 4-beat intros, so just 1 bar. So this is a little bit longer, gives him some time to kind of set up the song. You've got your producer tags and all that stuff. So I'm going to click here where it says edit region, edit name. We're going to call this intro. So now I've got my intro labeled. Next, I'm going to map the next section of the song, and you're going to keep doing this process until you have the entire song mapped out. There should be a region for each and every section of the song. There shouldn't be any spots where there's blank, because every section of the song has a name. There's no just blank section of the song, so you have to make sure every spot you've recorded what is actually happening there as far as the song form goes. So I'm going to do this part on just kind of fast motion, because this will just take a second. But really what I'm going to do is just check the lyrics, see where it starts, see where it stops, and then make sure that my region fits that length. So I can see that verse 1 is going to stop when the chorus starts. That's where he says, "I'm just a lonely child." So what I'm going to do right here, since this is my next section, I'm going to click Edit, Create Region. And here's where I'm going to kind of fast forward through this, but I'm just going to keep going back and forth. Edit, Create Region, wherever your next break is. Make sure you zoom in so you can actually stretch the region so it's the correct length. And once it's the correct length, click Edit and change the name of it so that you know what section of the song it is. Here we go. All right, and there we are. I've got the whole song mapped out. So this one's pretty straightforward. It seems like really the song form is a vehicle for NBA Youngboy to tell a story in this one. It's got longer verses than some other songs do. The chorus is actually kind of short too. It only comes up a couple times. There's some songs that their chorus repeats a lot of times. Part of the benefit of doing this activity is every time you do this, you're going to learn something different about how music is made and how this particular producer structured the song. So we've got the whole song form mapped out here. This is going to help us a lot for the next part, which is the chord progression. So again, this is another one where, on the school Wi-Fi, this tends to get a little difficult. But if you search for your song and artist followed by the word chords, you're going to get a few examples. Chordify has a lot. Sometimes I question the accuracy of Chordify. There's certain ones that don't seem to quite be accurate. Some of them definitely are, not all of them. I think the one I'm actually looking for is Chord Zone. Yeah, this one is the one. Cool. So I think the way that Chord Zone does this with the chords, Ultimate Guitar sometimes uses this format as well, where they actually put the chords over the lyrics. I think that's super helpful. So you can see that actually there's just 3 chords in this song. And again, you really got to be careful with some of these chord websites as far as what they say the key and the chords are. Because this says this is an F sharp major. The first chord's an F sharp minor. It's not an F sharp major at all. But you use F sharp minor, E major, and D major. And those are the only 3 chords that are used in the whole song. If I scroll through this, it's really just that. This is, again, another spot where this is going to change just wildly compared just based on your song. I know one of my students is picked a song that is literally just B minor the entire song. That happens too. So once you know what chords you need, you're going to go into that folder and my students will have access to this folder. Not everyone will have this, but there's workarounds. You can learn how to write your own chords. There's also other places you can get MIDI chords and stuff like that. But anyone who is doing the beat theory curriculum, you'll have access to this whole folder of chords. So I'm just going to start with major and minor here and just download the chords that I need. So I need F sharp minor. So the number sign is sharp. The little lowercase b is flat. Any note that has a sharp name also has a flat name, so just make sure you look at either, depending on how it's written. So I'm going to download F sharp minor chord. I'm going to download a D major and an E major. And I would suggest downloading these one at a time. That way they don't turn into a MIDI file, or sorry, a zip file. So I've got my chords, and I can see kind of the motion of this, which is it starts on F sharp minor, it goes down to E, and then it goes to D, and it stays there for a little bit, and then it goes back up again, and then it stays on F sharp minor, and then it goes back down. It's kind of this up and down pattern where it'll spend a little bit of time on either F sharp or D. So to help with this, I'm going to focus just on the section that I'm working on at the moment. Let me just, sometimes the zoom overdoes it a little bit there. Okay, cool. So I'm going to just loop the intro. At this point, you can also turn off the metronome. And I can actually kind of hear already those chords, those piano chords in the background moving pretty literally as far as how it's written. So I'm going to start by adding in the F sharp minor chord. And there we go. I hear it. So this is where you're going to need to use your ears a little bit. It's also at this point okay, since we're beginners at this moment, if it's not 100% perfect. If it's as long as you have all the chords mapped out and it's generally in the right order, that's a good step to do kind of the first time you do this. Every time you do a reference track project, you can get a little bit deeper into this. So right now we're doing pre-made MIDI chords. You could learn how to transcribe chords doing this process and get as accurate as you want to be. Try to remake the whole instrumental. But at this point, we're going to try to just figure out how to get into it. So I'm hearing the chord kind of hold over a little bit. Sounds like it's shifting a little sooner than I have it. Let's try one more here. Alright, that sounded pretty good. So now I'm going to drop in E major was next. So I can hear that's just a little bit late. Again, you just got to use your ears on this for the most part. Cool. And then I'm hearing the next chord about there. Yep. Cool. Next chord's D major.
I just want to be loved.
D-Mac on the track.
And then it just kind of stays there for a little bit. So, in some cases you might have this like reattack. You might want to just kind of hold it there for a little bit.
I just want to be loved.
One thing I think I did in a different version is this. I just, had the chord start again just to kind of help show what the chord progression is. So.
I just want to be loved.
D-Mac on the track.
Don't nobody understand.
And then right here, I can also see in the lyrics, it goes down to D, and then it goes back up D, E, F sharp minor. So I'm going to start right here. I can just copy and paste the chords at this point. So I've got that. Next, let's just figure out where that starts and stops. Line that up. Not too bad. I'm going to copy my E major. See how we're doing now. So that's definitely late. Just a little late. It's getting pretty close. One thing that can be helpful is just making sure your grid size is set to something like 1/16 or 1/8. There we go. Yeah, that locked in. Most of the time, chords are going to change on the bar. If not, they're going to change on like an eighth or a quarter and eighth grid. Not usually on a 16th grid, depending on what you're studying. So now I just need to get to my F sharp minor chord and put that right here. And let's hear how it's going so far.
I just wanna be loved.
D-Mac on the track.
Don't nobody understand me though.
Taj Money.
And then after that, it just repeats. So I'm going to just stretch this out. So I've got more of that covered. I'm going to have this play again one more time. And then starting at bar 9, it actually just keeps repeating this pattern for the whole rest of the song. So if I copy this chord progression and paste it here again, let's just double check, make sure that this actually works out.
I just wanna be loved.
D-Mac on the track.
Don't nobody understand me though.
Taj Money.
The way I came in the
Still
game,
working.
the image that I had put out, they wouldn't expect me to have feelings. But it probably don't seem like why they talk about me like I ain't human, but we all lives.
Cool, nice. So I've got my chord progression, and it's really just working for the whole song. So I can check my intro here. I can see the verse is following the same exact pattern. And again, just trying to line these up as close as you can. It's when you're looking at lyrics and chords like this, the word that they put the chord on is not always exactly going to be where it says, so you do have to kind of interpret that a little bit. So I'm going to just take this here again and copy and paste it out. What I'm going to do right now is just change my chord instrument so it matches the chords that are in the song, and this works out very well because it's literally just piano playing block chords. So I do really like the Pink Carol piano. So let me just give that a listen, and I'm just going to listen to my chords now. Cool. Okay. So I've got that set.